Hello everyone, my name is Miguel, Miguel on Instagram, and welcome to my portfolio tour. Some quick context about myself before we move on. I'm 22, living in Portugal at the moment. I just finished my degree studying concept art for video games and cinema, but on the second year of university, I actually started getting interested in tattooing, of course. So I got a machine, practiced on fake skin, fruit, myself, and then eventually moved on to France soon after. I kept tattooing anyone who was interested until around 4 months ago, and at that time I actually chose to stop accepting new clients. And ever since then, I've been dedicating myself to building up this guy right here. So, let's get the tour started, shall we? Starting with some mixed media for the cover. This is a piece heavily inspired by Art Nouveau, and at the time I was having fun making these textures with watercolor pencil and then bringing them over to the iPad for the actual line work and the rest of the painting. A Nani mask, followed by a piece that was my pride and joy for a bit. Originally this dragon was supposed to go on my left leg so I could do it myself, but it just fits an arm or back so much better that I let go of the idea. But I still really liked it, so I ended up actually doing a painted version. Moving on. I love this cluster of eyeballs. Originally, they were drawn while listening to 1984's audiobook, and it was drawn as a warning that
Big Brother is watching you.
But now they just make me chuckle for some reason. Starting from the left though, this is a drawing that began as a painting on canvas, and me being in me, I just left it as it was for a good while, but eventually I brought it over to the iPad and picked it up again. I have the final version at the end, don't you worry. Then we have some framed wildlife and snakes. Snakes are just awesome to draw and one of my go-tos when I don't know what to draw, so you'll see a few in here. On the right here, this is from a period where I was really into filigree and intricate sculpted ornaments in architecture and ceramics for a bit, so this was one of my attempts at it, along with some other pieces that were drawn around the same time. Moving on. A chrysanthemum that I love and always pops out when this page comes up. Next up is a lucky mallet, since I'm a big fan of luck and anything related to it. I know the mallet is not a symbol to bless you with luck or anything, I just really like the stories behind it all. And another chill snake. Everything on the right here was made for a friend actually, and it started off with her wanting a mantis. But that would be too simple, right? So she wants to include two other things. Some Japanese clouds around it and an evil eye as protection along with it. So yeah, quite a mix, but a good challenge. So this first one is actually a variation of my very first tattoo on skin, followed by a ton of tiny flash drawings. And on the right here, these were drawings for a friend and co-worker while I was working at Subway in the UK. So he brought me a piece of paper with the idea roughed out, and from there I did these first three and kept refining it according to his requests, ending up with this one. Ornamental daggers. I really like this one though. Just really like the eyes. So if you were to ask me to draw butterflies like a year ago, the idea probably wouldn't be that exciting, but over time I actually started really liking to draw them, since you can be so experimental with them and they'll still maintain the recognizable shape. So that's what I tried to do with these three, the first one remaining close to reality and then showing some experimentation with the other two. A ritualistic skull, since you never know when you're gonna have to sacrifice someone, better have it ready. And then some flowers. I really like this one. This one is still a work in progress. Another snake. Bright colored flowers. And this one right here, actually let me take the original out. So this one was designed for a client's back while I was in the UK, but at the time I didn't have a thermal printer yet, and I wanted a perfect stencil for these repeated patterns. So I let her know I wasn't comfortable doing it at that time. Thankfully she understood and we postponed it. The snake here is still a work in progress. I'm remaking the scale since these were done with a scale brush, and if you're using it for simple stuff, it works, but as soon as you start turning it a bit more, it starts creating these gaps in between the steps. So now I'm actually going and doing it properly to make sure it not only looks awesome, but is also correct. Reaching the end of the portfolio here, so these 2 pages are mostly digital works. I decided to include them to show what I was doing before moving on to tattooing. This is a portrait of a friend that let me tattoo her twice in the very beginning, and recognize this one. So this is the final version of the drawing in the beginning. I am happy with it, although I did really like the droplets from the watercolor pencil on the original one. This one though is acrylic on canvas and almost 2 years old now. And to finish this page, 2 pieces I did for uni. So, this Doraemon is honestly still one of my favorite tattoos I've done up to now. Not for the quality of it, I just think the idea is hilarious. Since his family is a bit more conservative, he got it above the boxer's line. So now anyone who sees him naked will have a little surprise there waiting at them. This one was a celebration after getting my first motorcycle license. These 2 were done on a friend from high school, with more to come after summer. And then I actually ended up tattooing her grandma for her first tattoo. This has grandchildren and then the initials for each of them. Yep. And then her cousin actually came from France and wanted to tattoo a memory here at his destination. So, Remy, it was an honor.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Getting back to it though. So this one is on my brother's chest. These 2, so the fishes, I asked an ex to draw me something since I wanted to have something drawn by her, and then she asked me to tattoo this on her. This one was something, it was on a friend of a friend who's a rapper / musician, and he asked me to tattoo him on his studio, but there's a whole story. Let's not get into it. This was one of my first 5 tattoos. Let me see. This one was actually the second one I ever did on skin. This super cool pair of knives was on a friend of mine who's actually a chef, and he wanted something related to cooking, and after discussing it a bit, he said he was super proud of his knife set, so we thought that would be a good icon for the idea, and the knives on the heart we did. These 3 drawings are actually not my original designs. It was a client who brought them in, and since at the time I was thinking about anything that came my way as long as I could tattoo, I accepted them, and they were good practice, no doubt. And to finish it off, a tiny rose on Megan's wrist. Now, to tell you how my search for the actual apprenticeship has been coming along. So I've messaged around 12 studios, and out of those 12, maybe 9 responded. All of them saying pretty much the same.
We appreciate the contact, but we don't have any space or are looking for any artists. Sorry.
So yeah, that made me realize how full the actual studios here in Portugal are. But that was only through messaging, like Instagram or emailing. So I still had to actually go in person and try to force the portfolio on them. So that's what I did. There are still a few studios around here that I haven't messaged yet. So I just picked up my portfolio and went there in person. Now, it was a lot scarier. If you've tried it, maybe you can relate, but once you're standing like close to the studio, you're like, should I actually go in? And you start getting so nervous and stuff. But I had no other choice, so I went in. So as soon as I walked in, I was greeted by the receptionist, who was super nice. She wasn't a tattoo artist herself, but she knew what she was talking about. So I introduced myself, explained why I was there, and as soon as I told her I was looking for an apprenticeship, she told me,
Sorry, we're not looking for artists right now, but is there something we can help you with?
So I was a bit sad, but still wanted some critique on the portfolio, of course. They started looking at the portfolio. The first pages, they loved the Oni mask, the dragon, but on a few of the pieces, they mentioned my line work, that I needed to improve on it, make it more consistent and play a bit more with line weight. And with the color, to try and be cleaner with it, like not be so muddy or smudge so much. But then they reached the last pages of the portfolio, the ones with the tattoos. And that's when they asked me, so, have you worked at the studio before? To which I answered no, and explained the whole situation, that I started tattooing, and then a few months ago, I stopped. To which she asked, why? Why did you stop tattooing though? So I explained the why, which was mainly because of YouTubers, like professionals and stuff, saying that it would be hard for them to take a scratcher as an apprentice, as they have already developed bad habits, and overall there can be some hygiene problems if you're not careful, which never happened to me, but I understand, and that's why I stopped. Once I told her that, she had like kind of a dumbfounded face on her, and she just told me, if you ever heard that in person, they just wanted to demotivate you, because how the hell do you think people start? To which, yes, I knew a good amount of people started just tattooing friends and stuff, but I really thought apprenticeships would be like a regular thing, like not mandatory, but there would be a few, you know? To which she replied, no, in Portugal there really aren't that many apprenticeships. So if you really want to do this, just keep tattooing until you can find a studio to actually work in. So that gave me some motivation to maybe get back to tattooing, while of course I still look for the apprenticeship, because I still want the apprenticeship. There's so much I still need to learn, and the studio just opens up so much doors for you, since you end up meeting and actually tattooing a lot more people. But that's it for now. I really hope this helps. And if you want to follow me on my art adventures, give it a subscribe and a like if you like the video. Alright everyone, bye!